Welcome back to PoPolitickin.com, your home for self-help meets hip-hop. Make sure you go on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, YouTube, Google Play. Type in PoPolitickin and listen to my interviews since 2008. 1212 place to be with Sir Veterano. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm great. So what's your hometown? Where you from?
Well, I'm outside of San Francisco. I don't like to say exactly which town I'm from because I live in a kind of smaller area. But I live in the Central Valley between Stockton, Modesto, Manteca, Tracy. It's kind of a hub, a cluster of cities out here that's connected right to San Francisco and to Sacramento.
All right. They'll ask you about your name. I know that means a veteran in Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the way that I actually got my name was I had a poster up in my room when I was younger, and my boy saw it. And he's like, "That's a dope poster." And what it was a it was kind of like a 1930s advertisement poster, and it was for a brand called Veterano brandy, and the product was, I think it's either that or vice versa, but the last name, the name on it, the kind of brandy it was Osborne, and that's my last name. And so my boy saw it, he was just like, "I'm gonna call you Veterano," because it just, it kind of synced up perfectly. He's like, "That's a dope ass name, like, why don't you go by Veterano?" I'm just like, all right, whatever. And so that's kind of how it came together. So it was based on this poster I had in my room.
Okay. And then how'd you get involved with music?
Well, I've always been involved in music. When I want to say maybe 15, when I started high school, how old was I? I guess I had to have been like 14. And I was a freshman, and friends that I had were older. They're like a couple years ahead. So they were like juniors, and they used to be DJs. And I was really into hip hop, and I was already like breakdancing. I was graffiti writing, and so I was like, yeah, let me try this DJ thing out. And since 14 and on, I was DJing. And then when I turned 15, I was able to get a job at McDonald's. I bought my first set of turntables. I swung for the fences, and I saved up enough to get Technique 1200s and a Vestax mixer, and I bought a bunch of records, and that kind of translated into music production because I had such an appreciation for what I was spinning, and I had an interest in that. And I had a friend in the neighborhood who was looking for a DJ, and so I went over there, and he was also a graffiti writer, and we kind of just hit it off. And he had music equipment. He's like, "Yeah, I've been messing around making my own beats and stuff." I was just like, "Well, I've been kind of thinking about it myself." So then I just started making beats right away, and that kind of took over. I'm still a DJ at heart, but the music production, you just had to put it in front of me, and I just took full advantage of it. And I haven't stopped ever since, really.
So who are some of your influences as far as the producers?
Well, when I think about it, it always comes back to the same people. Growing up, I loved DJ Premier, Pete Rock. I loved DJ Shadow, Dan the Automator, because he did Dr. Octagon. That's kind of like a beloved underground classic. And so that production on there was dope. I liked The Alchemist. I love The Alchemist. I can't say enough good things about him. Warren G, Battle Cat. It's some West Coast people that, and a lot of times, when you're coming up, you don't really know the name of the producer. You just know you like this song, or you like the production from this album, and you find out, oh, it's done by this one person. So a perfect example would be like the first Dilated album. There was Alchemist all over that thing. And, he ended up having his own signature sound because of that. So those are some of my influences. I also refer back to a Tribe Called Quest, Beats, Rhymes, and Life. that production wise was my, was my tribe album. Everyone has their favorites, but I look at the production from there that was different, and it kind of really, blew my mind. And later did we find out that it was, Q-Tip and Dilla, and it was Ali Shaheed. They were the Huma production team for Tribe. So it was kind of like an in-house thing. And so I referenced that as well, because that album was like a big influence on me.
And then how would you describe your signature sound?
How would I say? Well, it's ever evolving. I always say it's ever evolving. So I can't really say yet that there's a signature. I do know that whenever I do work on music, I have a direction. So it could be grimy or it could be cleaned up. But I will say that I always revert back to the original place where I started making beats, which is, dusty records, hard, gritty drums. I think about like Soul Survivor, the Pete Rock album. The first Soul Survivor, that was big. It was very influential on me, and it was tough. Like it was hard. It was hard hitting, and it was grimy, and it had a variety of everything that I love in music production. So if I were to say anything, I'd probably say that it goes back to the roots of it all for me, and that's real grimy, hard hitting hip hop, head nod stuff. And and like I said, when you're ever evolving, I'll leave it up to everyone else to decide what they feel my signature sound is. But for me right now, I'm just working and working.
Man, what kind of equipment do you use?
Well, I've graduated from the hardware, the keyboards and the synths and all that stuff, and I primarily make my music on my computer. So I use FL Studio, Fruity Loops. Used to get a bad rap, but now people, can discover what they can do with it. So I use that. I have a MIDI keyboard, and I have just a plethora of synths, live instrumentation, VSTs, and plugins. And so it's plugin city on my end, and it allows me to do everything that I want. And the cool thing is that I'm able to filter, for producers out there, I'm pretty sure they know this already, but there's a lot of programs that can dirty up and muddy up your sound and get the sound that you're looking for to give you that nostalgic, vibe in your beats. So, I can always, basically what I'm saying is it starts clean, and then I can muddy it up based on my own choosing and get the sound that I'm looking for. So I'm happy with it.
Then describe your creative process.
Well, so first of all, right, I've been working a 9-to-5 for the last 8 years because I did take a pause in the music business and decided.
I'll ask you about that too.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that. But my process now is to get my work done in my 9-to-5, and then go to work in my studio space. And there really is no kind of rhyme or reason to anything. If I'm working on a specific project, which I have been since I kind of came back, I am pretty organized now. Now I'm just like, let me finish all the production for this, and then let me move to that and move to that. And I move pretty quickly because a lot of times I'll do something that I feel is about 80% done, send it to them, make sure that they like it. And if they like it, then they'll either lay down some lyrics, or they'll say, yeah, I like it. Can you build a bridge for it? Or can you do a hook for it now? And then I'll finish the other 20% to make it a full sounding song. So everything that I send out to people is work withable. It can be changed, but you get the general idea of what I'm doing. So when I sit down, I'm just, it's me, a glass of water, you know, one of my pets or something, and then I'm just chilling, I'm zoning out for hours. You know, sometimes I only be able to get an hour in. Sometimes I could get, you know, 12 hours in for the day. So it just depends on what the workload is for me. But fortunate for me, in my 9 to 5, I work remotely, and I don't have to be in an office. I don't have to be somewhere all the time. I can, you know, people could call me and I can take care of business here. So that's basically what it is. It's just, you know, you just go until you feel that you've accomplished something. And that's basically, if there's anything that I do in my process, is to make sure that I at least come up with something, that I did something in the direction of what I'm trying to accomplish in my music career. So, you know, there's no wasted time. There are no wasted days, and you just got to do something. Even if you have a headache, and you don't really want to do anything, you still got to push yourself a little bit to say that, you know, at least I tried for today.
Okay. And then you was talking about that. I had read like you started in 2000s and then you took a break. So was it an 8-year break? Sounded like it was an 8-year break.
Yeah, it was about like an 8-year break. That's pretty accurate. Elaborating on that, I was doing pretty well in the music business up to that point. I had been building up my resume. I'd been working with a lot of people, specifically on the East Coast, because I had a lot of plugs out there in New York. And so, you know, I was working my way up doing stuff. You know, I got a song off with Slaughterhouse, which was the first song that they ended up becoming a group out of. My boy, Nino Bless, he was on that song, and he was supposed to be part of the group, and then, you know, it just didn't work out. So then it just became, you know, Joe Budden and Royce and Crooked and Ortiz. And so I was working with a lot of cats, Graf and a lot of people, and I was starting to get the calls from the higher ups, the major label stuff. I was getting, I had A&Rs reaching out to me from Aftermath when, you know, when things were really, really popping over there. And I think at that point, I had been going through some things personally, like in my personal life, that I was transitioning from, okay, well, I've been grinding and things are good sometimes they're bad. So I'm always having like a side job or, you know, so I'm like, I'm about to be like 25, you know, and I feel like maybe I need to get my life together and get a foundation going, and then I could come back to it. So I met my girl, my wife now, in 2009, and she gave me a reason to want to do something better for myself. You know, I was kind of tired of roommating with people and sleeping on the floor and you know, but hustling and grinding. I'm just like, I can't do this forever. And I have a girl that's got her shit together, and, you know, that seems a little more appealing to me than trying to get on somebody's album. So I was like, okay, you know what I mean? So it's like, nah. So we ended up building a life together, my wife and I, and I kind of felt like I transitioned out of it organically. It happened on its own momentum. And if I were to come back, it would happen on its own momentum as well. And that's kind of what happened. So there wasn't a thing where I'm consciously not trying to work on music. I was just like, if it comes back and I feel good about making music again, because also at that time I was burnt out. I had been, you know, when you're coming up, you have A&Rs and labels, you know, major labels and then indie labels, and everyone wants a certain thing from you. Like, can you make a beat like this? We need production like so-and-so's album. And I just kind of felt like I just want to make the thing that I want to make. I'm tired of being a puppet to try and, you know, it was all about trying to get an opportunity. And sometimes I would do things that I just didn't care about, but I could do the work because I had the abilities to do it. And that's not the kind of career that I wanted. So you have that combined with me trying to get my life together and trying to, you know, try to be a better partner to my wife and all that. That was the main incentive. But coming back, I mean, that came back on its own. And, you know, it feels good now. There's no pressure, you know what I mean? Like, I got my shit together now. Now it's just fun, you know what I mean? Now I can just do what I want.
Okay. Yeah, speaking of that, I want you to talk about The Gathering, because I saw you had a couple people I interviewed. I saw Ras Kass on there, Then Mitchie Slick, he's from San Diego, so
are you based in San Diego?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I saw you had he's on there a couple songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the gathering, I mean, so the way that came together is my manager, Walt Liquor. He used to manage Jaquan. He used to manage Planet Asia coming up throughout the years. So he's well known in the business for his administrative stuff. And so we've been linked up, he and I, since about 2005, 2006, because I ended up selling some beats to Planet Asia for his album Jewelry Box Sessions. And I want to say that was like 2006. And so we've been tight ever since. And so he's always kind of just been my right-hand man whenever I needed to take care of like some kind of business-related things. So his boy that he grew up with, and soon-to-be business partner was Kwa, who runs, the Fresh Yard Clothing in San Diego. You probably may have heard of it, but he wanted to start a record label. And so Walt was just like, look, I got the guy. This is Veterano. He's done this, and that, and maybe we could do something. So I was linked up with him back in like 2012, but I had already been making my exit, so it never materialized. But when I came back, I kind of reached out to both of them because Walt's been checking in on me for like the last, every year he'll just come by and say, hey, how you doing? Like, are you still thinking about making music? And I'm just like, I'm kind of on my own thing. So he let me be until I was ready. And so then I sent out an email to Walt and Kwa, and I was just like, look, guys, I think I'm going to jump back into this. Let's talk about maybe doing something, but I'm just trying to get my bearings, back and trying to get used to making music again. And they were ready to go when I was ready to go. So basically that's how the album started. I was just like, well, let's just get to work. And so I put together a wish list of people that I wanted to work with. Now, Mitchie, you mentioned Mitchie. He's good with Kwa, who's the label owner and business partner. So they've already done things based out of Kwa's clothing company, which is called Fresh Yard. So he was just like, hey, Mitchie, I got this dude, Veterano. We're putting together this album. Let's do something. Mitchie jumped on it immediately. He's like, whatever you need, let's do it. So Mitchie, the song My Shoes was literally the first song that we did on the album. And that was done, maybe like a month and a half after I reached out to Kwa and Walt. So the process moved super fast. And then after that, Razzie, Raz, that's my boy. Like I've known Raz since like 2005. As well as, Planet Asia. And so that's family to me. So I was just like, Raz, I'm working on this thing. He said, say no more, knocked it out. And so a lot of people that we work with were people that are within the family. Murs, Planet Asia. Let me see here. I'm starting.
Mc Eiht on there, I saw.
Who?
Mc Eiht.
Yeah. So we didn't have a relationship with Mc Eiht at the time. So a lot of people, they were family. Some people we reached out to go and get, and Mc Eiht ended up getting on it after Asia and Mitchie recorded their song in San Diego. They recorded their song and they sent it over to me. I was like, well, shit. The only person I can really hear on this is Mc Eiht. Like, wouldn't it be dope if Mc Eiht did the hook and then he could do a verse for us and we could make it kind of like a West Coast posse cut? And that's exactly what happened. We sent it over to Eiht. Eiht gave the, it's funny, if you've ever talked to Eiht through email at the very least, because I haven't spoken to him in person yet. Everyone else has that's part of my team, but he's very minimal in the email. So we sent it over to him and, are you down? And he said, Gia. And that was literally all that it took. So he went into the studio and knocked it out. So there's no talking, it's like, let's just do it. So that's how that came together. And then, everyone else was just, again, people that I wanted to get on there, you know, MED, Guilty Simpson, Fat Cat, from, you know, those guys are from Detroit. You know, MED, of course, is linked up with Madlib and Ono, you know, out of the Stone's Throw family, and Fashawn, and, you know what I mean? Like, it was kind of like a family affair a little bit. And you know, I'm pretty happy with how it came out.
All right. So what you say, what's next for you? What you gonna be working on now?
What am I gonna work on now? So I have some other albums that are going. I don't wanna say exactly what it is, but I'm working with people based on the album that we did on solo projects right now. So we're branching out basically from the album. We're putting together different kinds of albums and projects. I got some EPs coming with some new people, and then we're going to be doing kind of like another gathering album, because it has it's been received well, and I think we see something that we could kind of double up on, and so that's probably going to be happening fairly soon. We are, the one thing I can say though, is that we are going to be doing a deluxe version of The Gathering. So there's going to be new songs, and we're going to be putting that out soon enough. But we're recording right now. Songs are being made for that, and we're going to have some new people on it, and you know, just kind of extend it. They give people a little bit more than 13 songs for that album. Yeah.
I'll ask you, as far as like, so what did you notice? Like, you say you was out for a minute, you got back into the game. What's the difference you noticed? I know you probably noticed like 8 years is a big difference.
Yeah.
Music.
What have I noticed? The one thing that I noticed that is different is when I got out, people were really starting to build up their quote unquote brand. And back in the days, you know, like at least in like the 2000s, it wasn't about building your own brand. It was about kind of like, you know, I want to put together a mixtape, or I want to get on that person's album, or for a rapper, they were just trying to get their career going and trying to get signed to whoever they could to put out an album. But around like the late 2000s, like 2009 and all the way into about 2012 or 13, when I kind of fell off the map, it started becoming like you yourself are your own brand. And for me, that was foreign, because I'm a producer and I'm supposed to be behind the scenes. I'm happy being behind the scenes. I didn't want to be the focus of attention. I wanted the attention on the music, but not me, myself. And, you know, as social media continues to evolve, there's more and more information, more transparency to fans. And I was resistant to that, because I'm like, look, I don't want you to see where I live. I don't want you to, you know what I mean? Like the wall between privacy, you know, your personal life and work life, that wall has been taken down like long time ago. And I just wasn't like with it at first. And I was just like, no, I don't want to talk to you. I don't know who you are, you know? And now that I'm coming back in, that's just the standard. That's just the way that it is. It's about building up your own, look at you, you're doing your own thing, you know what I mean? And that's the way of doing things these days. And I've come around to it, so I'm fully embracing it now. So I would probably say that's probably the biggest thing that's different. It's not about trying to get onto the biggest websites. It's not about the biggest blogs. The big thing now is that you are engaging with fans and getting music directly to them without third-party interference. You know, it's without labels now. You know, that's the future. It's more doing it independently. It's about your own structure. And that's something that's a lot different than it was before. You know, before I was like, let me get signed to so-and-so. I need sponsorship from these people. And now it's not even about that. You're your own thing. You're your own entity, and you can build it up yourself. And so you know, luckily I have people around me that give me good advice, and, you know, we're heading in that direction now. Thus, the gathering is the first offering that's coming from the quote unquote Sir Veterano brand. And there's a lot more to come from that.
All right. Then what are some of your interests outside of music?
So outside of music, I'm a big, I am not an expert, but I enjoy good bourbon and whiskey and tequilas. I also love wine. So a lot of things that I do outside of music, I'm going out, well, not so much anymore, but, you know, I'd go out to you know, cocktail bars or places, or like speakeasies where they have, you know, where they pour $1,000 shots of you know, bourbons and stuff that's really rare. And so I've gotten into that, not to say that I'm buying the $1,000 pours of alcohol, but, you know, I'm getting in there and I'm exploring, you know, that kind of stuff. I just love, I love, I want to say this without sounding like an alcoholic, but I love alcohol, but I respect alcohol. I don't abuse it. You know what I mean? It's like when you're younger, you just want to get there. You know what I mean? But when you're older, at least for me, now that I'm older, I want to experience it. I want to savor it. You know, I've slowed down. So I'm not just down in whole bottles or anything like that. You know, that's for when I was like maybe like 22 or something like that. But, and maybe I still might do that now if I'm in a studio session, which I was recently. It was me, Fashawn, Planet Asia, and this guy Nino Bless, and we were in a studio session recording like maybe a month ago, and I just went out and bought a nice bottle of bourbon and kind of poured it for everyone in some red Solo cups, and we had a good time. So, you know, sometimes those things happen, but I do find a lot of interest in things like wines. Yeah, I got some wine back over here. I have more wine stored away, but, you know, it's just something that I like to do, something that me and my wife both enjoy. We like going to new places. Other than that, man, it's pretty much just work, music, enjoy a drink here and there, and spending time with friends. I mean, it's pretty clean cut right now.
Okay. Then what advice would you give to new artists?
New artists. Well, one thing I will say is that it's not going to happen overnight. As much as you might see that viral things do happen, you know, where some kind of interview could blow up or a song can blow up, you know, those things are possible now. But I mean, more so than it used to be before, but don't expect that you're going to be the biggest have the biggest brand right out of the gate. I think it all takes time. It's a slow burn. It's about people getting to know you. And I think the younger generation mostly knows that, but I do think that sometimes for younger generations, there's an expectation to blow up fast. And that's because you have a lot of ambition. And I get that. I had the same thing too. But, you know, just be okay with not being successful at first. Before you do anything that's worthy of making money, maybe you should be good at what you do first. And then you can start to reap the rewards of it. It's about putting that 10,000 hours in. I don't know if you've probably heard that, but, you know, you got to put that in before you mastered your craft. And so, you know, enjoy the process, learn, always be a sponge to people giving you good information. Sometimes you'll get bad information, but that's the part of growing up and learning. So if you're new, you know, put your work in, because the thing that people are going to respect later is not necessarily how many views you have or how many streams you end up getting. It's, are you going to gain the respect and a customer to your product? If the product's weak, then no one's going to come back for it. You know what I mean? You could be just a one-hit whatever on the internet, but consistency is the thing that's going to grow your brand and make you solid in the business or whatever industry that you're into.
All right, what would you like to say to your fans and supporters?
Well, to all, my new fans and supporters, thank you for everybody that's been supporting me. Like I said, I've been gone for a minute. Some of you may know me from back in the days because I used to work with a lot of people, but I'm officially back, and it feels good. Thank you for everyone that's been streaming, that's been sharing what we've been doing, the videos, the music, and I look forward to bringing you guys more content this year. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming, and it's not stuff that's necessarily that we're gonna be selling. It's going to be stuff for the fans, and I'm very grateful. If anything, I'm just most grateful for anybody that takes any interest in what I'm doing, because 2 years ago I was off the map. No one cared about anything that I was doing, and I didn't care about being in the business. But now that I'm here, I've been people have welcomed me with open arms back into the music business, and thank you very much for just supporting and checking in on me.
All right, I'm gonna say thanks for coming through Politickin with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, by the way. Thank you for reaching out and wanting to do this as well, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. You want to tell me your social media and everything?
Yeah, for sure. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm more on my Instagram than I am on my Twitter, to be honest, but they're both the same. It's Sir Veterano, SirVeterano. You can send me a message. I'm not somebody that won't respond to you. Just hit me up, tell me what you like, or you have a question, whatever it is, just holler at me.